إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما سبحان الله والحمد لله ولا إله إلا الله والله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله أشهد أن أمير المؤمنين وإمام المتقين عليا ولي الله صلى الله أشهد أن أمير المؤمنين وإمام المتقين عليا حجة الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح حي على خير الأعمال حي على خير الأعمال الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله لا إله إلا الله بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم اللهم اجعل قلبي وارا وعملي سارا وعشقا ورزق زارا أولاد أبرارا وجنة قبل نبيك صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم مستقر بقرار برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين اللهم صل على محمد.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله الذي كان موجودا قبل حدوث الأشياء ويبقى بعد فناء الأشياء تفرد بالأولية والقدم ووسم كل شيء ما عداه بالفناء والعدم كما قال عز شأنه كل شيء هالك إلا وجهه وكل نفس ذائقة الموت وقال كل من عليها فان ويبقى وجه ربك ذو الجلال والإكرام سبحان من لا يخفى عليه اختلاف النيات ولا يعزب عنه ماس العباد في الخلوات سبحان الله الذي منه خلقة العباد وإليه المعاد فمن يعمل مثقال ذرة خيرا يره ومن يعمل مثقال ذرة شر يره نشهد أن لا إله إلا هو الملك الذي لا ينازع في ملكه ولا يضاد في حكمه يعذب من يشاء بما يشاء كيف يشاء ويرحم من يشاء بما يشاء كيف يشاء تعذيبه المسيئين عدل وعفوه تفضل ونشهد أن محمدا سيد المرسلين وخير المبشرين والمنذرين صلى الله عليه وآله الهداة المهديين من ركب سفينتهم نجا واهتدى ومن تخلف عنها ضل فغرق وهوى أوصيكم عباد الله بالاعتصام بالتقوى فإنه حبل متين وعروة وثقى قال الله تبارك وتعالى وقوله الحق وهو أصدق القائلين بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم يا أيها الذين آمنوا إنما الخمر والميسر والأنساب والأزلام رجس من عمل الشيطان فاجتنبوه لعلكم تفلحون صدق الله العلي العظيم. I begin by advising myself and all of you to practice the piety and the taqwa of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as is the best of provisions. The verse that I shared with you for today's khutbah of Jummah is from Surah Ma'idah, Surah number 5, chapter 5, ayat number 90. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, amongst these ayat of Quran where there is hukm shari'i, we know that amongst the 6,000 plus ayat of Quran, only 500 of them talk about ahkam shari'i, meaning the ahkam, the obligations and the hurmat of things that is mentioned in Quran And of course, it is one of the means of deriving the rules and the laws of our madhab. This ayat is amongst those ayat which forbids, makes certain things, consumption, usage, any type of dealing with it to be deemed haram. Ayat says, O you who have faith, or O you who believe, intoxicants and gambling, dedication of stones and divination by arrows are an abomination of shaitan's handiwork. Avoid such abominations that you may prosper. So one thing that is clear, two things that you get out of this ayat. Number one, the hurmat of khamr and gambling, and the result of abandoning it, which is prosperity. Muslims of today, especially the youth, are facing many problems and temptations, and that were not available previously, as you and I, or my seniors, when they were growing up. This is particularly problematic for us as a minority Muslim population, especially in this country. The youth are easily distracted by activities such as addiction to TV, video games, gambling, escort agencies, and other drug-related addictions. Here we'll explore the harmful effects of drugs on our youth, the family, the society, and most important, on our iman, our faith. What is the definition of drugs or intoxicants as mentioned in the ayat and the rawayat? Ayat I recited for you, Surah Ma'idah, ayat number 90. Then there are hundreds of rawayat to back up this concept, such as the riwayat from the Prophet of Islam, Hazrat Muhammad Mustafa sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam. Qala Rasulullah li Fatima. He said this to his daughter, Ya Habibata Abiha, O the beloved of her father. Kullu muskirin haramun wa kullu muskirin khamrun. Every intoxicant is haram, and every intoxicant is khamr. You take this hadith and you plug it with the ayat, Surah Ma'idah number 90, which says, Innamal khamr fashtanibuhu. You put these two together, what do you have? You have absolute hurmat and the forbidden nature of this thing. Allah didn't send a Nabi, in another riwayat from our 8th Imam, who says Allah did not send a Nabi except that He forbade intoxicants. So it's not something which is a new phenomenon. Intoxicants always existed in different shape or form, and now of course is being exploited to things that we can't even imagine. Definition of the word intoxicate is to produce a stage or a state ranging from euphoria to stupor, to stimulate, to excite, or to even poison. We can draw the following conclusions from these riwayat and the ayat that I recited for you. Number one, an intoxicant is any substance which may be liquid, solid, or gas. And now you go ahead and see what is happening is with the legalization of many of these drugs, recreational use of them now being legalized in many states. Amongst those states, which is concerning to us, is the state of New Jersey, there where we live in, where until end of last year, there were more than 21 legal dispensaries to purchase these type of drugs. So it is in any shape or form that is mentioned, that is voluntarily taken and into the body by swallowing, injection, inhaling, or ingesting, which produces an effect on the brain, resulting in changing an individual's mood. Now this is one aspect of it. Number two, examples of intoxicants, khamr, are the following: alcohol, wine, beer, spirits, you name them, all forms of drugs such as cocaine, heroin, marijuana, to name a few amongst many shape and forms that now exist. All intoxicants are forbidden in Islam, irrespective of the quantity that is used. Even one drop of wine or khamr is haram. Similarly, one puff of marijuana is also haram. Anyone who associates in any way with any aspect of intoxicant, not just consuming it. Consuming, we talked about, is haram. Any way of interaction with it, whether you buy it, you sell it for someone else, you carry it from one place to another place, you become the means of its production, whatever that you can think of, that through which this intoxicant is being produced or transferred or consumed, all different associations with it is forbidden for us. So therefore, when a person uses it, sells it, makes it to deliver to its, another place, it is partnering with shaitan, since all intoxicants are the handiwork of shaitan. Hence, the business of weed dispensary will be haram. I know some of you might be approached that this is a growing business and a lot of profit associated with it. It's already a $13 billion industry till last year, and every year it's growing by 15%. These are the figures, the facts that you can find just by Googling it. Then the aspect as to how do they sell it, and how does one become hooked and addicted to it. Young people are very vulnerable to the influences of the society. You might have a deterrence, but don't expect the same deterrence to be there when it comes to people younger than you. Through their friends, TV, adults, and those that appear to be fashionable in the music and the fashion industries, when they see them consuming it, using it, promoting it through various social media platforms now, it becomes something which is pop culture. Hence, a youngster may find that all his or her friends have experimented with drugs, and now he's feeling left out because everyone else appears to be having a good time. Friends tease him or her for not being too, cool and being too chicken to try this type of intoxicant. This is the first initial state. This unsuspecting youth, who's still, doubting it, whether he should or should not. Ghalib said, Imam mere piche hai to, Kaaba mere piche, Kalisa mere aage. Imam mujhe roke hai to kheche hai mujhe kufr, Kaaba mere piche to Kalisa mere aage. And it's a double-edged sword that I have Iman behind me and I have kufr which is pulling me. I'm in the middle of it. Kaaba mere piche, which is trying to stop me. I still have some conscious, I still have some lamir. And then Kalisa mere aage, something which is the jar and the root of kufr, it's pulling me into it, towards it. So this unsuspecting youth then decides to experiment only once, just to try it out. Well, how bad could it be? Let's try it out once. And then they try it out once. Furthermore, she does not have money to buy these drugs. Someone may offer it for free, because you will find these well-wishers around them as well. What this young person does not realize is that the first weakness to please his friends is the biggest mistake he can make in his life. The strategy to young drug pushers is to get as many customers as possible. Once a person becomes addicted or hooked, as we call it, now he's a customer for life. We find that this person, the addicted person, will then beg, borrow, steal, just to make sure that they have enough money to buy these intoxicants for their next fix. It is this vicious cycle of crime that at one point it is haram, and the means to get to it also involve getting into something which is haram. It is for this reason that khamr is known as the mother of all evils in Islam. When you see that certain ideas and concepts and things are hit straight from the head and hard, you find that there's a reason behind it. We did not know that how it will expand, and now we see the results of it. Now, types of drugs that exist. I don't need to educate you on this. There are many types of drugs available in the market. The general effect of all drugs is very similar. That's what we are focused on, the effects of these drugs. Though they may differ in their speed and action as well as the severity of the harm on the body, all drugs directly affect one thing which is common, and that is the brain. Since this is the only way of causing mood changes, and of course we know different types of drugs that exist with different functions. So for example, you have marijuana, which affects the part of the brain that deals with the emotions and memory. So the usage of it is going to cause what? It's going to go ahead and cause lack of emotions, and it's going to cause lack of memory over time. Alcohol impairs judgments, causing memory lapses and blackouts. You have heroin, a highly addictive opiate, gives very high rush, followed by many hours of fogginess. The addict lives day to day for their next fix. That's how addictive this drug is. And then, of course, there are a list of hundreds of others that if I was to just go ahead and count them, it'll take all the time. The harmful physical effects and what can we do about it. These are the two things that I want to focus towards the end of my discussion with a loud Nare Salawat. So we realize that it is bad. Islam has talked about it. But we need to put it into perspective to show the bad nature of it to the extent the person is disgusted so that they will not go near it. You know how when it's difficult, of course, you and I are not infallibles and will commit sins and will do things which are not allowed. So a person asked Imam, you're infallible. Does that mean you don't have the urge to commit sins? Imam said, we're not infallible like the angels who don't have any urges. We have the ability to commit haram, but with our ability, we suppress it and we don't go towards haram. And then Imam gave a very practical example. Imam said to this person who was sitting who asked this question, Imam said to him, imagine if they brought rotten food for you, you know, your favorite dish, this biryani or this nahari of yours, which has gone bad, has been sitting outside, has rotten, and has gone bad, and now it's brought in front of you. Although this is your favorite dish, will you consume it? Or something, if you find out that there's substance in it which is haram, for example, there's pork in it, will you go ahead and consume that rice or that food that is presented to you? I said, no, of course not. Not only that I won't consume it, I will abhor it to extent, get it away from me. This is nasty, this is disgusting. Imam said, sins are the same way in front of us. When we come across, if there's a sin in front of us, it is to the extent that it is making us disgusting and we abhor it even approaching it. So with this example, Imam tried to do what is called taqarrub al-zihni, bring this person closer, seeing that when you see something which has gone bad, you don't like the smell of it, you want to keep it away from yourself, you throw it out in the garbage. If someone asked you to eat it, how would you feel? Disgusted. He said that's how we feel when it comes to sinning. So the harmful physical effects have to be elaborated, explained in order for them to understand the dark nature of it. Drugs have very damaging effects on an individual's mind and body. The most harmful effects of drugs is on the brain. Now this brain is a gift from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, one of the most beautiful gifts that you can imagine. We realize the worth of this brain when we see those who are challenged and who have difficulty, making decisions on their day-to-day life. So this is one of the most important gifts from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, most delicate and the most powerful computer, if you want to call it. It is an amazing organ. It must be protected and cherished, and its full potential should be utilized. With that said, when a person introduces a drug into the body, either by nose, mouth, or vein, the drug enters the bloodstream and goes directly to the brain. It doesn't go anywhere else. It is meant to do that. Physicians sitting in front of me, they'll know, they'll explain better than me that when you consume a drug which is meant to cure certain things, how it affects, how it goes directly after that organ to go ahead and fix it. For example, if there's a drug which is there to treat, heart, it is going to go ahead and have the most impact on the heart, while it might have, impact on other organs, which are the side effects. And if it's a drug for kidney, for liver, for other things, it'll affect that organ directly, of course, causing maybe other things along the way as well. So this drug enters into the bloodstream and goes directly to the brain, crosses the blood-brain barrier, and occupies various receptor sites in the brain. This leads to an alteration in the chemical and electrical neuronal functioning of the brain, which also leads to the eventual organic damage. Now, this could be more technical terms that could be utilized and studied, which I'm not ready to go and explain, which I cannot comprehend myself. But at the end of the day, it affects the brain. It stops the function of the brain, and different drugs have different functions when it comes to the brain tissues. Although the main effect of the drugs is on the brain, other body organs that are damaged include damaged nasal septum through snorting the drugs, collapsed and clotted veins, kidney, liver, and lung failure to various degrees, damage to the brain, as we mentioned before. Infected needles can cause hepatitis infections, HIV, and other things. All of these are possibilities of the usage of this drug. Now, the way forward. What can we do about it? And the suggestions. If there is someone in your family circle, in your community circle, or close friend who you suspect has a problem with drugs, and I'm sure that is a common thing now, then you must assist them in any way possible. Here are some suggestions about how you can do that. Number one, communicate. Can't single it out. You need to make sure that you engage. Don't pretend that the problem will go away on its own after a few years. They'll realize it, so and so. Everyone goes through this phase in their life. Let it just be. Let's not intervene. Let's not embarrass them. No, that's not how it's going to work. Parents must learn the art of healthy, open communication and discuss issue in an open, frank, and a friendly atmosphere. Talk about it. There shouldn't be any taboo. There should not be any cliche. There should not be any means of saying, oh, this is not something which we talk about in our houses, and this is a discussion which does not belong in our homes. Number two, show sympathy. Don't become mad at this person right away. Don't become harsh towards this individual right away. Show sympathy, because you're treating a patient how a doctor would treat a patient. Show sympathy like a father would to a son. Even if it's to a stranger, the person who is addicted has a disease. They need help. So treat them like patients. Muslim communities must provide alternative forms of recreation for our youth. These could be in the form of community centers, sports, youth camps, where the youth can socialize in an Islamic environment and are then not tempted to experiment out of boredom. Now, what also this thing does is that it's not going to be there for 24/7, 365 days a year. You'll have these camps, you'll have these workshops, maybe 4 or 5 times a year. Is it enough to counter the exposure that they're getting? Definitely not. But what it'll do is, when these sort of topics are discussed in this friendly environment where they're hanging out with kids of their age, and when this sort of topic is being discussed and the harmful effects of it being talked about, then it will create a sense of shame when they are by themselves. The addicted youth should be encouraged to turn to Islam, because more than likely when they're doing this is the need, because there's a void in their lives, and that is called Islam. They're away from the religion. They're away from the teachings of Islam. They're not regular when it comes to their salat and Sawm. They're not regular when it comes to the other wajibat that they have. And due to the absence of these obligations, which will go ahead and be a counter to all of these vices, this is easily replaced. Mothers have a very important role to play in the upbringing of their children. We can't emphasize more than that. And last but not least, make dua. Dua has powers, but you need to do dawa along with the dua. From all the Muslims, youth in our community and throughout the world, we have a responsibility to look after our youth and protect them from the dangers of the society, because they are the future. of this society. And therefore, it is important that we talk about these topics, understand how it is going to affect us head on, because unfortunately, New Jersey is one of those states where this has become legal, and you can easily purchase these things from these weed dispensaries. They're available as long as you're willing to pay a price for it. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to protect us all from the vices of intoxicants that exist around us. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give us tawfiq and ability to counter them. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to protect our children, especially from all the vices that exist. Inna asal hadith wa ablagh al-mawida kitabullah a'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim wal 'asr innal insana lafi khusr illa alladhina amanu wa 'amilus solihat wa tawasaw bil haqqi wa tawasaw bis sabr. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله الذي لا إله إلا هو الحليم الكريم غافر الذنب وقابل التوب وهو الغفور الرحيم سبحان من سبقت رحمته وغضبه وبسط اليدين من رحمة سبحان من لم يكلف نفسا إلا دون وسعها وعفى عن السيئات ولم يجاز بها سبحان من لا يزداد ولا معصي العباد إلا كرما وجودا وعلى كثرة الذنوب إلا فوصف نشهد أن لا إله إلا هو لطوف على العباد بجوده والعباد المظلمين بحلمه ونشهد أن محمدا نبيه وحبيبه سيد المرسلين وشفيع المذنبين بعثه رحمة للعالمين ألا قد أمركم الله في محكم كتابه بالصلاة على نبيه وحبيبه فقال تعليما لكم وتشريفا لصفيه إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. اللهم صل على سيد المرسلين وشفيع المذنبين نبينا محمد صلى الله عليه وآله وعلى إمام المسلمين وقائد الغر المحجلين أمير المؤمنين علي بن أبي طالب صلوات الله وسلامه عليه وعلى سيدة النساء العالمين وبذة خاتم النبيين سيدتنا فاطمة بنت رسول الله صلوات الله عليه وعلى حسن المجتبى والحسين الشهيد بكربلاء وعلي بن حسين ومحمد بن علي وجعفر بن محمد وموسى بن جعفر وعلي بن موسى ومحمد بن علي وعلي بن محمد والحسن بن علي عليهم الصلاة والسلام. اللهم صل على مولانا صاحب الزمان ماهياث البدء والطغيان هادم أبنية الشرك والنفاق حاسد فر البغي والشقاق صلوات الله وسلامه عليه وعلى آبائه الكرام اتصلت الليالي والأيام. اللهم عجل فرجا وسهل مخرجا واكحل ناظرنا بنظرة منا إليه واجعلنا من المستشهدين بين يديه وتفضل على أمراء المؤمنين بمزيد التوفيقات وازدياد الإقبال وعلو الدرجات. اللهم افعل بنا ما أنت أحلو ولا تفعل بنا ما نحن أحلو بجاه محمد وآله الطاهرين صلوات الله عليهم أجمعين. اللهم من يذكر فتنفع ذكره إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون. الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمد رسول الله أشهد أن محمد رسول الله أشهد أن عليا ولي الله أشهد أن عليا حجة الله. حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح حي على خير العمل حي على خير العمل قد قامت الصلاة قد قامت الصلاة. الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله. الله أكبر. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم يسبح لله ما في السماوات وما في الأرض الملك القدوس العزيز الحكيم هو الذي بعث في الأميين رسولا منهم يتلو عليهم آياته ويزكيهم ويعلمهم الكتاب والحكمة وإن كانوا من قبل لفي ضلال مبين وآخرين منهم لما يلحقوا بهم وهو العزيز الحكيم ذلك فضل الله يؤتيه من يشاء والله ذو الفضل العظيم مثل الذين حملوا التوراة ثم لم يحملوها كمثل الحمار يحمل أسفارا بئس مثل القوم الذين كذبوا بآيات الله والله لا يهدي القوم الظالمين قل يا أيها الذين هادوا إن زعمتم أنكم أولياء لله من دون الناس فتمنوا الموت إن كنتم صادقين ولا يتمنونه أبدا بما قدمت أيديهم والله عليم بالظالمين قل إن الموت الذي تفرون منه فإنه ملاقيكم ثم تردون إلى عالم الغيب والشهادة فينبئكم بما كنتم تعملون يا أيها الذين آمنوا إذا نودي للصلاة من يوم الجمعة فاسعوا إلى ذكر الله وذروا البيع ذلكم خير لكم إن كنتم تعلمون فإذا قضيت الصلاة فانتشروا في الأرض وابتغوا من فضل الله واذكروا الله كثيرا لعلكم تفلحون وإذا رأوا تجارة أو لهوا انفضوا إليها وتركوك قائمة قل ما عند الله خير من اللهو ومن التجارة والله خير الرازقين الله أكبر اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار بجاه محمد وآله الأطهار الله أكبر سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي العظيم وبحمده رب صل على محمد وآل محمد سمع الله لمن حمد الله أكبر سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده رب صل على محمد وآل محمد الله أكبر استغفر الله ربي وأتوب إليه الله أكبر سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده رب صل على محمد وآل محمد الله أكبر بحول الله وقوته يقوم وقعد بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد الله أكبر سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي العظيم وبحمده رب صل على محمد وآل محمد سمع الله لمن حمد الله أكبر ربنا افرغ علينا صبرا وثبت أقدامنا وانصرنا على القوم الكافرين بجاه محمد وآله الطاهرين الله أكبر سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده رب صل على محمد وآل محمد الله أكبر استغفر الله ربي وأتوب إليه الله أكبر سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده يا لطيف ارحم عبدك الضيف الله أكبر الحمد لله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدًا عبده ورسوله. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. السلام عليك أيها النبي ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام علينا وعلى عباد الله الصالحين. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. الله أكبر، الله أكبر، الله أكبر.
وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. تشبيه جناب فاطمة الزهراء سلام الله عليها. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. أستغفر الله الذي لا إله إلا هو الحي القيوم الرحمن الرحيم ذو الجلال والإكرام وأتوب إليه. All of us together. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم كن لوليك الحجة لابن الحسن صلواتك عليه وعلى آبائه في هذه الساعة وفي كل ساعة وليا وحافظا وقائدا وناصرا ودليلا وعينا حتى تسكنه أرضك توعا وتمتعه فيها طويلا برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Juma Mubarak to all of you. Also, it marks the prosperous birth of Jazad Qasim ibn Imam Hassan alayhi salatu wassalam. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala. And tomorrow, of course, the wiladat of Hazrat Ali Akbar ibn Imam Hussain alayhi salatu wassalam. Also, congratulations on these two occasions. Before we start, let's recognize the sponsors for today's Juma lunch. It is sponsored by Brother Tayyib Ali and his family. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept their generous contributions, and we ask you to please recite a Surah Fatiha for their deceased relatives as well as your own. Surah Fatiha. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. Siratal ladhina an'amta alayhim ghayril maghdubi alayhim waladdallin. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. وصلى على محمد وآل محمد. So we can, inshallah, you have Saturday, Sunday, Salatul Fajr at Masjid-e-Ali here at 6 a.m. And then followed by Quran Circle, and then breakfast on Saturday. And similarly, we have Dua Sabah and Ziyarat Ashura, followed by breakfast on Sunday morning. So do join us sharp at 6 a.m. It starts on time and doesn't end on time. Inshallah, the upcoming program, we have Tuesday, an important day, which will be the 14th of Shaban. And so at night time, we will be celebrating the prosperous birth of Imam of our time, Imam Mahdi, Ajjalallahu Ta'ala Farajahu Sharif. It marks Nime Shaban, the 15th of Shaban. And of course, that includes the Amal as well, writing of Ariza, which all be available. So Tuesday night, the program would be that it'll start at 7 p.m. sharp with Salatul Isha, followed by Jashan, and inshallah we'll conclude with the Amal for the night of Nime Shaban. And inshallah, I believe food will be served here as well. So do join us. I know we don't need to invite anyone for this. People come in for these events already. But just a reminder that don't miss out on this very auspicious night. You only get one opportunity entire year, like this, 15th of Shaban, and of course the Shab-e Qadr. So do take advantage, nights of dua, the nights of acceptance and istijabat of dua. So therefore, don't miss out on that opportunity. That'll be this coming Tuesday, March 7th, starting at 7 p.m. While you will be busy, inshallah, with the Jashan and the Amal, the children will be kept busy by the Al-Mahdi workshop, which will be, inshallah, taking place from 7:30 to 8:30. You do have to register for that, I believe. No, actually, registration not required. So moms and toddlers, children under the age of 4, and then separate program for children from the ages 4 to 7, and 8 to 11, and 12 to 14. So all the children will be occupied during this time of Amal and Jashan, taking part in this workshop, learning firsthand from the volunteers of Al-Mahdi workshop, while all of us get to perform the very important Amal. So take advantage of this. I think the announcements are on the board, or actually on the TV in the foyer as well. Take it down, and numbers that you need to call to, well, there's no registration needed. But nonetheless, information is there, and email will go out, inshallah, on Monday morning as well. Once again, Tuesday, March 7th, we will be celebrating the wiladat of Imam of our time, as well as the Amal of Nime Shaban. Let's conclude with the Dua Sihat for all of those people who are in need of dua, those who are sick, suffering, struggling, going through a difficult time. Different hajat that people have, whether it be for work, whether it be for Sihat Yabi, whether it be for children, whether it be for better future. Let's make this dua together. And inshallah, Prophet said, make dua from a tongue that you have not sinned with. So I have sinned with my own tongue, but I haven't sinned with your tongue. So you'll be making dua for me, I'll be making dua for you, and inshallah that'll be accepted. Let's recite this ayah karima 5 times together. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. أما يجيب المضطر إذا دعاه ويكشف السوء 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 ويجعلكم خلفاء الأرض أإله مع الله قليلا ما تذكرون. اللهم صل. Let's proceed to Salatul Asr. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. Ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. Ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. Ashhadu anna Aliyan waliyullah. Ashhadu anna Aliyan hujjatullah. Hayya ala salati, hayya ala salah. Hayya ala al-falah, hayya ala al-falah. حي على خير العمل، حي على خير العمل. قد قامت الصلاة، قد قامت الصلاة. الله أكبر، الله أكبر، لا إله إلا الله. الله أكبر. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الله أكبر. سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي العظيم وبحمده. سمع الله لمن حمد. الله أكبر. سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده. الله أكبر. استغفر الله ربي وأتوب إليه. الله أكبر. سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده. الله أكبر. بحول الله وقوته أقوم وأقعد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الله أكبر. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. رب ادخلني مدخل الصدق وأخرجني مخرج الصدق واجعل لي من لدنك سلطانا نصيرا. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. الله أكبر. سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي العظيم وبحمده. سمع الله لمن حمد. الله أكبر. سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده. الله أكبر. استغفر الله ربي وأتوب إليه. الله أكبر. سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده. الله أكبر. الحمد لله. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. بحول الله وقوته أقوم وأقعد. الله أكبر. سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي العظيم وبحمده. سمع الله لمن حمد. الله أكبر. سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده. الله أكبر. استغفر الله ربي وأتوب إليه. الله أكبر. سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده. الله أكبر. بحول الله وقوته يقوم وأقعد. الله أكبر. سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي العظيم وبحمده. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده. الله أكبر. أستغفر الله ربي وأتوب إليه. الله أكبر. سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده. يا لطيف ارحم عبدك الضعيف. الله أكبر. الحمد لله. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. السلام عليك أيها النبي ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام علينا وعلى عباد الله الصالحين. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر.
الله ملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. تسبيح.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. أستغفر الله الذي لا إله إلا هو الحي القيوم الرحمن الرحيم ذو الجلال والإكرام، وأسأله أن يتوب علي توبة عبد ذليل خاز فقير بائس مسكين مستكين مستجير، لا يملك لنفسه نفعا ولا ضرا ولا موتا ولا حياة ولا نشورا. اللهم إني أعوذ بك من نفس لا تشبع، ومن قلب لا يخشى، ومن علم لا ينفع، ومن صلاة لا ترفع، ومن دعاء لا يسمع. اللهم إني أسألك اليسر بعد العسر، والفرج بعد الكرب، والرخاء بعد الشدة. اللهم ما بنا من نعمة فمنك، لا إله إلا أنت، أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
متوجہ زیارت بسم اللہ الرحمن الرحیم. السلام علیکم یا آل یاسین. السلام علیکم یا داعی اللہ ربانی یا آیات. السلام علیکم یا باب اللہ بدیان الدین. السلام علیکم یا خلیفۃ اللہ و ناصر حق. السلام علیکم یا حجت اللہ و دلیل ارادت. السلام علیکم یا ثانی کتاب اللہ و ترجمانو. السلام علیکم فی آناء الیک و اطراف النہار. السلام علیکم بقیت اللہ فی ارض. السلام علیکم میثاق الذی اخذ وکذب. السلام علیکم یا عباد الذی ضمنا. السلام علیکم ایھا العلم المغضوب والعلم المبذول والغوث الرحمۃ الواسعہ وعدن غیر مغضوب. السلام علیکم حین تقوم. السلام علیکم حین تقعد. السلام علیکم تقر وتمن.
अस्सलाम लगे मौलाया अन्ना अलैना अमीरुल मोमिनीना हुज्जतो वल हसन हुज्जतो वल हुसैन हुज्जतो व अली इब्न अल हुसैन हुज्जतो व मोहम्मद इब्न अली हुज्जतो व जाफर इब्न मोहम्मद हुज्जतो व मूसा इब्न जाफर हुज्जतो व अली इब्न मूसा हुज्जतो व मोहम्मद इब्न अली हुज्जतो व अली इब्न मोहम्मद हुज्जतो वल हसन इब्न अली हुज्जतो। अस्सलाम वालेकुम रसूलुल्लाह अस्सलाम वालेकुम नबील्लाह अस्सलाम वालेकुम अपना फातिमा ज़हरा अस्सलाम वालेकुम खदीजतुल कुबरा अस्सलाम वालेकुम अली अकबर इब्न इमाम हुसैन अलैहिस्सलाम व रहमतुल्लाहि अस्सलाम वालेकुम या कासिम इब्न मोहम्मद इब्न कासिम इब्न हसन मुज्तबा अलैहिस्सलाम व रहमतुल्लाहि अस्सलाम वालेकुम साहिब अल असर व ज़मान अस्सलाम वालेकुम खलीफत रहमान अस्सलाम वालेकुम काबत अल ईमान अस्सलाम वालेकुम या काब तफसीर अल फुरकान अस्सलाम वालेकुम शरीक अल कुरान अस्सलाम वालेकुम इमाम ज़मानना अजल्लल्लाहु फरजक व सहल्लल्लाहु मखरजक व ज़हूरक व रहमतुल्लाहि व बरकातुहू। अस्सलाम वालेकुम या अहल बैत नुजूम व जमील